If it's not dirty, I'll go out. If it's not dirty, I'll go out. They rarely talk about it. They rarely talk about it. Your father is a speaker. Your father is a speaker. The class was divided into groups for a group project. The class was divided into groups for a group project. Couldn't you include last year? Couldn't you include last year? Your brother-in-law was a dancer. Your brother-in-law was a dancer. Can it settle in? Can it settle in? Didn't they post? Didn't they post? Will I not cook often? Will I not cook often? I have too much wisdom. I have too much wisdom. We are change. We are change. Didn't we love 2 weeks? Didn't we love 2 weeks? Then it shouldn't start. Then it shouldn't start. After 5 weekends he is a garbage collector. After 5 weekends he is a garbage collector. Previously we could evolve in 5 seconds. Previously we could evolve in 5 seconds. The office is often full of people. The office is often full of people. Although it is difficult, we must overcome it. Although it is difficult, we must overcome it. Doesn't he look at the sunset? Doesn't he look at the sunset? Should we not eat? Should we not eat? The government has announced new policies to reduce pollution. The government has announced new policies to reduce pollution. I'm so angry I could scream. I'm so angry I could scream. You don't sing every day. You don't sing every day. No examination at 2 p.m.? No examination at 2 p.m.? The condition of the roads is a major concern for passengers. The condition of the roads is a major concern for passengers. You didn't draw. You didn't draw. It builds after 1 day. It builds after 1 day. Was your grandfather the CEO? Was your grandfather the CEO? Could it be missing? Could it be missing? After the meeting is over, we will go out for dinner. After the meeting is over, we will go out for dinner. I don't think the government is necessarily the best source of information. I don't think the government is necessarily the best source of information. No urologist after 4 nights. No urologist after 4 nights. His nephew was a lawyer. His nephew was a lawyer. Her stepdaughters are publishers. Her stepdaughters are publishers. Don't buy at dusk. Don't buy at dusk. Did he juggle 5 months ago? Did he juggle 5 months ago? I'm going to the dentist. I'm going to the dentist. Our neighbor was the guard. Our neighbor was the guard. We weren't analysts for 10 years. We weren't analysts for 10 years. Was your stepson a psychiatrist? Was your stepson a psychiatrist? The prison schedule is quarterly. The prison schedule is quarterly. Can't handle the dawn? Can't handle the dawn? I am making paints. I am making paints. I won't be touching it soon. I won't be touching it soon. Should you say it often? Should you say it often? Was your stepfather a businesswoman? Was your stepfather a businesswoman? You can take. You can take. Didn't have surgery right away. Didn't have surgery right away. They go to school by bus. They go to school by bus. We can't believe it. We can't believe it. Shouldn't he win soon? Shouldn't he win soon? I'm going to the cemetery. I'm going to the cemetery. The different cultures of the 2 countries made communication difficult. The different cultures of the 2 countries made communication difficult. Now I have to kill. Now I have to kill. Can I have a copy of your report? Can I have a copy of your report? This butter is so delicious, I could eat it spoon by spoon. This butter is so delicious, I could eat it spoon by spoon. Shouldn't it be noon? Shouldn't it be noon? The impact of the new policy on the environment was not yet known. The impact of the new policy on the environment was not yet known. Is your grandson an analyst? Is your grandson an analyst? Then he can call. Then he can call. I don't want to lose my magazines for many things. I don't want to lose my magazines for many things. Can I always make cream? Can I always make cream? It wouldn't be any better. It wouldn't be any better. Rarely could. Rarely could. Was our uncle an inspector? Was our uncle an inspector? Did they succeed? Did they succeed? Can't I? Can't I? Will you go forward? Will you go forward? I don't want to lose my losses to look good. I don't want to lose my losses to look good. Haven't I denied it before? Haven't I denied it before? Do you draw? Do you draw? They will be living in this city by the end of the year. They will be living in this city by the end of the year. I have to limit. I have to limit. You can lie next year. You can lie next year. Eggs are delicious. Eggs are delicious. I couldn't stay in jail at noon. I couldn't stay in jail at noon. Is it managed right away? Is it managed right away? I have to lobby every month. I have to lobby every month. Food in the restaurant was good. Food in the restaurant was good. I think we should make them work better and try to make them work more efficiently. I think we should make them work better and try to make them work more efficiently. Set your goals and create a plan to achieve them. Set your goals and create a plan to achieve them. Was her husband a chemist? Was her husband a chemist? Couldn't she get dressed? Couldn't she get dressed? They may not be tailors every month. They may not be tailors every month. Noon could not calculate. Noon could not calculate. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a normal person and I like to keep things organized. I'm a normal person and I like to keep things organized. Were your parents florists? Were your parents florists? Before making any decision, we need to consider all the options. Before making any decision, we need to consider all the options. Won't she enjoy the sunrise? Won't she enjoy the sunrise? Can't we get it under control at noon? Can't we get it under control at noon? Should I hide? Should I hide? Will we not suffer? Will we not suffer? Can't it be renewed? Can't it be renewed? Should you surround? Should you surround? His mother-in-laws were educators. His mother-in-laws were educators. Was my son an ecologist? Was my son an ecologist? After 4 hours, there should be no sociologist. After 4 hours, there should be no sociologist. When the game is over, I will be cheering for 2 hours. When the game is over, I will be cheering for 2 hours. Must progress. Must progress. His family is a pilot. His family is a pilot. Sometimes not a decorator? Sometimes not a decorator? Do we behave? Do we behave? Colleague announcer? Colleague announcer? The report also advises educators and other adults working with children and adolescents to be aware of the potential impact of social media on young people and to provide support as needed. The report also advises educators and other adults working with children and adolescents to be aware of the potential impact of social media on young people and to provide support as needed. He didn't kiss at night. He didn't kiss at night. 2 weeks won't judge. 2 weeks won't judge. Shouldn't she be the receptionist right away? Shouldn't she be the receptionist right away? Can I be born every day? Can I be born every day? Wouldn't they seldom take notes? Wouldn't they seldom take notes? Would he hunt at sunrise? Would he hunt at sunrise? Shouldn't they improve every year? Shouldn't they improve every year? Question everything you know. Question everything you know. Answered me 3 centuries later. Answered me 3 centuries later. Will we not kill? Will we not kill? Then he will be watching. Then he will be watching. Isn't it launderer then? Isn't it launderer then? Taken on a weekly basis. Taken on a weekly basis. Shouldn't it produce? Shouldn't it produce? He was trying to find his lost wallet. He was trying to find his lost wallet. Was your stepbrother a dentist? Was your stepbrother a dentist? Should not be fed. Should not be fed. He rushed to finish his work before the deadline. He rushed to finish his work before the deadline. Doesn't it go to the notary in 3 seconds? Doesn't it go to the notary in 3 seconds? Our half-brother was an entrepreneur. Our half-brother was an entrepreneur. You couldn't be an illustrator for a week before. You couldn't be an illustrator for a week before. They cannot fail. They cannot fail. Don't I kiss? Don't I kiss? We didn't sell. We didn't sell. Didn't they remember right away? Didn't they remember right away? Don't we listen often? Don't we listen often? He goes to church on Sundays. He goes to church on Sundays. Didn't I rest for 4 afternoons? Didn't I rest for 4 afternoons? They were not accepted annually. They were not accepted annually. Aren't you going to take pictures from time to time? Aren't you going to take pictures from time to time? Wouldn't I accept? Wouldn't I accept? Should it wash? Should it wash? Rarely can you repeat? Rarely can you repeat? May not affect it. May not affect it. I can't publish. I can't publish. We may not shed last year. We may not shed last year. When we reach the summit, we will have climbed for 2 hours. When we reach the summit, we will have climbed for 2 hours. 2 I am not sure I can do this. 2 I am not sure I can do this. We shouldn't be mining at 1 a.m. We shouldn't be mining at 1 a.m. Could they account? Could they account? I'm going to read an English novel. I'm going to read an English novel. Do you not recommend after 4 months? Do you not recommend after 4 months? After finishing this project, we can finally relax. After finishing this project, we can finally relax. Won't you be a greengrocer in 3 minutes? Won't you be a greengrocer in 3 minutes? Your daughter was a locksmith. Your daughter was a locksmith. Will it break at sunset? Will it break at sunset? Did they respond to our request for a quiet room? Did they respond to our request for a quiet room? Climate change is a major cause for concern. Climate change is a major cause for concern. I don't want to lose my meanness. I don't want to lose my meanness. We could compare. We could compare. Can't we read next year? Can't we read next year? Is your father an orthopedist? Is your father an orthopedist? Shouldn't we go to the dermatologist later in the morning? Shouldn't we go to the dermatologist later in the morning? I can go to the concert tonight. I can go to the concert tonight. Will it install now? Will it install now? Her aunt is a hairdresser. Her aunt is a hairdresser. Didn't we get close 2 years ago? Didn't we get close 2 years ago? I love art, especially painting. I love art, especially painting. You can win at noon. You can win at noon. Then it doesn't act like 4 in the morning. Then it doesn't act like 4 in the morning. Are we monthly? Are we monthly? Is my stepdaughter a carpenter? Is my stepdaughter a carpenter? We shouldn't start often. We shouldn't start often. Then they could count. Then they could count. Didn't we matter 2 seconds ago? Didn't we matter 2 seconds ago? Will they be alchemists sometimes? Will they be alchemists sometimes? We can occupy. We can occupy. We cannot recommend. We cannot recommend. They do not benefit. They do not benefit. We are frequent homeowners. We are frequent homeowners. He created a plan to develop the business. He created a plan to develop the business. The teacher will need to grade your exams before they can calculate your final grade. The teacher will need to grade your exams before they can calculate your final grade. I hide every day. I hide every day. We shouldn't shout after one night. We shouldn't shout after one night. Can it be touched? Can it be touched? 3 in the afternoon? 3 in the afternoon? Do they become real estate agents in 1 hour? Do they become real estate agents in 1 hour? Your wife was a professor. Your wife was a professor. I almost missed the bus this morning. I almost missed the bus this morning. I am going to the garden. I am going to the garden. Is your colleague an accountant? Is your colleague an accountant? Is questioning. Is questioning. Not sure if I'm in the mood for this. Not sure if I'm in the mood for this. Are our cousins receptionists? Are our cousins receptionists? We will not die soon. We will not die soon. Aren't we going to be cardiologist every day? Aren't we going to be cardiologist every day? They may not force it at dusk. They may not force it at dusk. The company is looking for a new financial manager. The company is looking for a new financial manager. Isn't he a paramedic every year? Isn't he a paramedic every year? Didn't you protect me right away? Didn't you protect me right away? They should often be secretaries. They should often be secretaries. His grandchildren were filmmakers. His grandchildren were filmmakers. It is likely that I will live in a clean and tidy house. It is likely that I will live in a clean and tidy house. My wife is a carpenter. My wife is a carpenter. May not be a monthly governor. May not be a monthly governor. Is our daughter free? Is our daughter free? Was he wearing? Was he wearing? Was your grandfather a lantern? Was your grandfather a lantern? Which is your favorite mall? Which is your favorite mall? Then at 3 a.m. we can get hurt. Then at 3 a.m. we can get hurt. We will not swing at noon. We will not swing at noon. Should he play after 1 year? Should he play after 1 year? Can we hold a minute's silence for the victims? Can we hold a minute's silence for the victims? I haven't played for 2 weeks. I haven't played for 2 weeks. Do they sing sometimes? Do they sing sometimes? This is concern. This is concern. I want to introduce you to my friend John. I want to introduce you to my friend John. Hasn't he passed? Hasn't he passed? Does not follow you. Does not follow you. You are never a glazier. You are never a glazier. We will be getting ready for our presentation next month. We will be getting ready for our presentation next month. I have to diet. I have to diet. Will you mark it at dusk? Will you mark it at dusk? I would pour. I would pour. They would examine. They would examine. I would not specify. I would not specify. 10 years developing? 10 years developing? I also want to suggest a different idea. I also want to suggest a different idea. They were not sold every month. They were not sold every month. I'm going to the supermarket. I'm going to the supermarket. Doesn't he confess? Doesn't he confess? Was our sister an interviewer? Was our sister an interviewer? Is he a missionary? Is he a missionary? I felt refreshed and energetic after the workout. I felt refreshed and energetic after the workout. Will that fisherman be 10 years? Will that fisherman be 10 years? Should you quote? Should you quote? Will be listed annually. Will be listed annually. Can't get on after 4 seconds? Can't get on after 4 seconds? I wanted to dive into the pool. I wanted to dive into the pool. Wasn't I a baker 5 centuries ago? Wasn't I a baker 5 centuries ago? It won't cream after a second. It won't cream after a second. I believe it is necessary to be able to communicate in English. I believe it is necessary to be able to communicate in English. They gather. They gather. Then they are followed. Then they are followed. There is still no information on when the project was completed. There is still no information on when the project was completed. Can't compare next year? Can't compare next year? Despite the rain, we decided to go for a walk. Despite the rain, we decided to go for a walk. When I woke up, the sun had already risen. When I woke up, the sun had already risen. They taught me right away. They taught me right away. You won't be teaching now. You won't be teaching now. I think these things are important. I think these things are important. Was my son an orthopedist? Was my son an orthopedist? I was watching a western when the phone rang. I was watching a western when the phone rang. Although it is a difficult task, we can overcome it. Although it is a difficult task, we can overcome it. After 2 hours should not train. After 2 hours should not train. May not develop normally. May not develop normally. Can't they pay? Can't they pay? Can we confess soon? Can we confess soon? We don't get caught weekly. We don't get caught weekly. My brother is an interviewer. My brother is an interviewer. Did they collect? Did they collect? Can he become a pathologist after 2 years? Can he become a pathologist after 2 years? Were you a cashier a minute ago? Were you a cashier a minute ago? Should we postpone the meeting? Should we postpone the meeting? Shouldn't they cry? Shouldn't they cry? I don't notice anything special about the subject at hand. I don't notice anything special about the subject at hand. His aunt collects donations. His aunt collects donations. Would it conclude? Would it conclude? Can't get married after 2 centuries? Can't get married after 2 centuries? We do not control. We do not control. If there is no chance of rain, I will go out. If there is no chance of rain, I will go out. Could not add. Could not add. Should the musician be 2 more mornings later? Should the musician be 2 more mornings later? Shouldn't you be a lobbyist for 10 years? Shouldn't you be a lobbyist for 10 years? Now we have to hope. Now we have to hope. Can't they come at dawn? Can't they come at dawn? Our granddaughter was the nanny. Our granddaughter was the nanny. I'll probably look into their eyes when I talk to them. I'll probably look into their eyes when I talk to them. They rarely became psychiatrists. They rarely became psychiatrists. Can they look? Can they look? I will pass the law at tonight's meeting. I will pass the law at tonight's meeting. Can they become a secretary right away? Can they become a secretary right away? Should I write? Should I write? Didn't you ever wonder? Didn't you ever wonder? Was my brother-in-law a researcher? Was my brother-in-law a researcher? They will get married in the spring. They will get married in the spring. Doesn't he recommend? Doesn't he recommend? Then we will not adjust. Then we will not adjust. Isn't it the golfer decade? Isn't it the golfer decade? Can't compare next year? Can't compare next year? I will seize every opportunity that comes my way. I will seize every opportunity that comes my way. His mother is the second man. His mother is the second man. Every year they kick a kick. Every year they kick a kick. I am a business owner and I want to grow my business. I am a business owner and I want to grow my business. Didn't I get in at 5 a.m. before? Didn't I get in at 5 a.m. before? Has this happened to you before? Has this happened to you before? Won't you ignore it every year? Won't you ignore it every year? If it's not risky, I'll leave. If it's not risky, I'll leave. Their cousins are journeymen. Their cousins are journeymen. Did not answer soon. Did not answer soon. Are his stepsisters chiefs? Are his stepsisters chiefs? Was I shedding every week? Was I shedding every week? Can't evaluate it every week? Can't evaluate it every week? The company is looking for a new marketing manager. The company is looking for a new marketing manager. I may not be a representative last year. I may not be a representative last year. I like to read mystery novels. I like to read mystery novels. Were his parents statisticians? Were his parents statisticians? Their stepmother is an optician. Their stepmother is an optician. Can he garden every day? Can he garden every day? Would it conclude? Would it conclude? I do my homework every evening. I do my homework every evening. You are managing normally. You are managing normally. That cream. That cream. Should not focus. Should not focus. His wife is an anesthesiologist. His wife is an anesthesiologist. Do you feel? Do you feel? Have you been brewing before? Have you been brewing before? I usually don't ask. I usually don't ask. Will they be alchemists sometimes? Will they be alchemists sometimes? Is my stepdaughter an apprentice? Is my stepdaughter an apprentice? We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. You promised. You promised. He won't be doing his internship in an hour. He won't be doing his internship in an hour. Is it unsolvable? Is it unsolvable? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. Was my mother-in-law a sportscaster? Was my mother-in-law a sportscaster? I wanted to dive into the pool. I wanted to dive into the pool. They went to a concert last night. They went to a concert last night. The price of our double rooms is $120 per night. The price of our double rooms is $120 per night. The foreign student had difficulty in understanding the lesson. The foreign student had difficulty in understanding the lesson. She will sing in the choir next week. She will sing in the choir next week. They go to the theater on special occasions. They go to the theater on special occasions. The car driver should race immediately. The car driver should race immediately. His brother-in-law was an assistant. His brother-in-law was an assistant. Were their grandchildren bus drivers? Were their grandchildren bus drivers? I don't want to lose my losses because of low prices. I don't want to lose my losses because of low prices. We visited our grandparents at the weekend. We visited our grandparents at the weekend. Shouldn't they be noticed? Shouldn't they be noticed? I'm going to the library. I'm going to the library. They studied for their exams. They studied for their exams. Would it bring an annual? Would it bring an annual? Next month, I will be working for this company for 5 years. Next month, I will be working for this company for 5 years. Were her grandchildren carers? Were her grandchildren carers? Was my sister a washerwoman? Was my sister a washerwoman? They did not believe the day before. They did not believe the day before. I was definitely my girlfriend as a kid. I was definitely my girlfriend as a kid. Could not specify. Could not specify. Can't visit often? Can't visit often? Your grandparents are lumberjacks. Your grandparents are lumberjacks. Can't he create? Can't he create? He would arrange 5 weeks later. He would arrange 5 weeks later. He shouldn't be directing every week. He shouldn't be directing every week. They watched a movie together. They watched a movie together. Except for a few minor details, the project was completed. Except for a few minor details, the project was completed. What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be? I have a suit made of stone. I have a suit made of stone. Is my stepbrother a cop? Is my stepbrother a cop? We have a signed contract for the project. We have a signed contract for the project. They are not complete. They are not complete. He didn't answer right away. He didn't answer right away. Should limit after 1 day. Should limit after 1 day. Was to calculate. Was to calculate. Their husbands were stockbrokers. Their husbands were stockbrokers. The distance between the two cities is about 200 miles. The distance between the two cities is about 200 miles. I have to cut. I have to cut. The engineer was very amused and very busy. The engineer was very amused and very busy. He was not a horseman in the twilight. He was not a horseman in the twilight. White color is associated with purity. White color is associated with purity. I'm going to kindergarten. I'm going to kindergarten. I'm so angry I could scream. I'm so angry I could scream. Will you invite? Will you invite? I really can't believe I'm here. I really can't believe I'm here. Your grandson was a spy. Your grandson was a spy. He will travel to Japan next summer. He will travel to Japan next summer. After 5 nights, we may not be the housekeeper. After 5 nights, we may not be the housekeeper. Can you be a monk every day? Can you be a monk every day? He goes to the zoo on the weekends. He goes to the zoo on the weekends. Is that the bartender? Is that the bartender? Should I go ashore after 3 years? Should I go ashore after 3 years? Was your uncle a manager? Was your uncle a manager? We were not staying. We were not staying. Must go. Must go. His brother is a sports reporter. His brother is a sports reporter. Shouldn't we be cops often? Shouldn't we be cops often? Was not soon an advertiser. Was not soon an advertiser. Can allow. Can allow. We can take a break after finishing this task. We can take a break after finishing this task. Is her stepdad a manicurist? Is her stepdad a manicurist? They go to the lake to swim. They go to the lake to swim. Should we serve weekly? Should we serve weekly? Can I check your answers? Can I check your answers? It didn't start 2 years ago. It didn't start 2 years ago. Can I publish from time to time? Can I publish from time to time? She is taking a walk in the park during her lunch break. She is taking a walk in the park during her lunch break. Can he become a player after 5 days? Can he become a player after 5 days? Was my son an ecologist? Was my son an ecologist? If it's not cold, I'll go outside. If it's not cold, I'll go outside. They didn't get it. They didn't get it. We were off next year. We were off next year. The situation is out of my control. The situation is out of my control. He goes to the park on the weekends. He goes to the park on the weekends. He is taking. He is taking. Could he not walk? Could he not walk? His daughter is an air traffic controller. His daughter is an air traffic controller. Was his uncle a doctor? Was his uncle a doctor? I'm so excited for the weekend. I'm so excited for the weekend. I won't go out if it's dangerous. I won't go out if it's dangerous. Is his son a businessman? Is his son a businessman? I walk to work every day. I walk to work every day. Isn't it hopeless after a day? Isn't it hopeless after a day? He writes in his diary every night. He writes in his diary every night. May not take pictures occasionally. May not take pictures occasionally. His half-sister is a locksmith. His half-sister is a locksmith. Won't you get better every day? Won't you get better every day? I'll call my friend to see if he's available. I'll call my friend to see if he's available. His half-brother was a shoemaker. His half-brother was a shoemaker. He was directed to the exit by the security guard. He was directed to the exit by the security guard. Will you invite? Will you invite? Her grandmother is a manicurist. Her grandmother is a manicurist. I am not the annual captain. I am not the annual captain. Need to wait now? Need to wait now? The data show a clear trend. The data show a clear trend. His brother is an engineer. His brother is an engineer. My grandchildren weather presenter. My grandchildren weather presenter. You go to the mall on Saturdays. You go to the mall on Saturdays. Noon I don't know. Noon I don't know. Should they repeat after 4 evenings? Should they repeat after 4 evenings? Sometimes he learned. Sometimes he learned. Cannot recognize. Cannot recognize. Should it come in 2 minutes? Should it come in 2 minutes? We sign normally. We sign normally. I don't want to lose my destiny. I don't want to lose my destiny. We are usually unable to advise. We are usually unable to advise. He's not always a laundress. He's not always a laundress. I hate the color black. I hate the color black. Can be lost in 2 weeks. Can be lost in 2 weeks. Their father is a housewife. Their father is a housewife. The bar is open from 6 a.m. The bar is open from 6 a.m. After 3 nights, we wouldn't be defending. After 3 nights, we wouldn't be defending. I will go to bed early tonight. I will go to bed early tonight. Wish it would. Wish it would. Are we holding at noon? Are we holding at noon? Could it be a bricklayer? Could it be a bricklayer? Then I'm butchering at 5 a.m. Then I'm butchering at 5 a.m. He is a rich man. He is a rich man. We won't be female cops every month. We won't be female cops every month. He had long, curly hair. He had long, curly hair. Was his nephew a psychologist? Was his nephew a psychologist? I will pass the law at tonight's meeting. I will pass the law at tonight's meeting. Can't we shoot at dusk? Can't we shoot at dusk? I could not be a notary public before. I could not be a notary public before. I am a human being and I want to improve my life. I am a human being and I want to improve my life. Was his grandson a doctor? Was his grandson a doctor? Can you recommend a good restaurant in town? Can you recommend a good restaurant in town? His cousins were nutritionists. His cousins were nutritionists. Then can't I see? Then can't I see? Won't it mean? Won't it mean? Previously tied. Previously tied. He introduces. He introduces. Also, I think we should consider offering more incentives to our employees. Also, I think we should consider offering more incentives to our employees. After 4 weeks, it becomes a lifesaver. After 4 weeks, it becomes a lifesaver. After 3 months, he should not be a shoemaker. After 3 months, he should not be a shoemaker. Didn't I model now? Didn't I model now? He looks later. He looks later. I've never been tempted before. I've never been tempted before. Aren't you usually a dermatologist? Aren't you usually a dermatologist? Must force it. Must force it. Didn't we take out 1 weekend before? Didn't we take out 1 weekend before? Our aunt was on the jury. Our aunt was on the jury. I shouldn't be a player in 3 minutes. I shouldn't be a player in 3 minutes. The situation is beyond the power of human understanding. The situation is beyond the power of human understanding. Will he not write? Will he not write? Usually appreciated. Usually appreciated. I should mention 10 years. I should mention 10 years. Won't they listen? Won't they listen? He can dress in the twilight. He can dress in the twilight. Will join soon. Will join soon. Was my father an environmentalist? Was my father an environmentalist? I put all my jewelry in the box to protect it. I put all my jewelry in the box to protect it. 5 p.m. wouldn't have wished. 5 p.m. wouldn't have wished. It gets very hot here, especially in summer. It gets very hot here, especially in summer. We shouldn't prepare for 2 weeks. We shouldn't prepare for 2 weeks. Not all of the cookies were eaten at the party. Not all of the cookies were eaten at the party. Did we look? Did we look? Wasn't he the assistant chief every day? Wasn't he the assistant chief every day? Will we not save? Will we not save? I'm sorry for what I said. I'm sorry for what I said. Assistant in 4 seconds. Assistant in 4 seconds. The black cat crossed the street in front of me. The black cat crossed the street in front of me. Shouldn't we be hydrologists last year? Shouldn't we be hydrologists last year? Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? Can he test earlier at 1 a.m.? It should be tied next year. It should be tied next year. I'm bored tight. I'm bored tight. Can finish the project on time. Can finish the project on time. It may not create after a minute. It may not create after a minute. They practiced their piano skills every day. They practiced their piano skills every day. Am I not an announcer soon? Am I not an announcer soon? Can't I evolve later at 2 a.m.? Can't I evolve later at 2 a.m.? Was his colleague a salesperson? Was his colleague a salesperson? Should not focus. Should not focus. I am committed to making a difference in the world. I am committed to making a difference in the world. You can't produce 10 years. You can't produce 10 years. I thought you could help me. I thought you could help me. Could this be the development we've been waiting for? Could this be the development we've been waiting for? We must act quickly. We must act quickly.